Now, statement by the minister. Yes, चर्चा करो.
Sir, I rise to apprise this House, this August House, of recent developments in West Asia that are cause of deep concern to all of us. As
Nothing will go
honorable,
on record except the minister's statement.
as honorable members are aware, this round of conflict started on 28 February 2026. It has witnessed not only fighting between Israel and the United States on one side and Iran on the other, but also attacks on a number of Gulf states. There have been numerous casualties, including at the leadership level in Iran,
Nothing will go on record except the minister's statement.
as well as destruction of infrastructure in the region. At the very outset, government had issued a statement on 28 February expressing its deep concern and urging all sides to exercise restraint, avoid escalation, and prioritize the safety of civilians. We believed, and we continue to believe, that dialogue and diplomacy should be pursued to de-escalate tensions and address underlying issues. Sir, it is also imperative that the sovereignty and territorial integrity of all states in the region be respected. Given the gravity of the situation, the Cabinet Committee of Security, CCS, met on 1 March under the chairmanship of the Honorable Prime Minister. It was briefed on the airstrikes in Iran and the subsequent attacks in several Gulf countries. The CCS was concerned over the safety and security of the Indian community in the region. It also focused on the implications for regional security and for economic and commercial activities. The committee was apprised of difficulties faced by Indian travelers transiting the region and by students appearing for scheduled examinations in these countries. It directed all concerned ministries and departments to take appropriate measures to respond to these problems. Honorable Prime Minister continues to closely monitor emerging developments and relevant ministries are coordinating to ensure effective responses. Sir, the conflict has continued to intensify and the security situation in the region has deteriorated significantly. We have noted that, in fact, the conflict has spread to other nations with mounting destruction and deaths. Normal life and economic activities in the entire region are visibly affected and in some cases have come to a halt. We therefore reiterated our call on 3 March for dialogue and diplomacy and spoke up for an early end to the conflict. I am confident, Chairman Sir, that the House joins me in expressing our sorrow at the loss of lives. Honorable Chairman Sir, while any development that negatively impacts peace and security in the world is deeply troubling, this ongoing conflict is an issue of particular concern for India. We are a neighboring region and understandably have obvious stakes that West Asia remains stable and peaceful. There are almost 1 crore Indian citizens who live and work in the Gulf nations. In Iran too, there are a few thousand Indians who are there for study or for employment. The region is key to our energy security and includes many important suppliers of oil and gas. Chairman Sir, the Gulf is also a major trade partner, accounting for almost $200 billion annually. The House is also aware that in the last decade, there has been significant investments from the region into the Indian economy. Therefore, serious supply chain disruptions and climate of instability that we perceive are serious issues. Furthermore, these include attacks on merchant shipping where Indian nationals often constitute a large proportion of the crews. We have sadly already lost 2 Indian mariners and 1 remains missing in such incidents. I know that the House joins me in condoling the deaths. Honorable Chairman, sir, government has been assessing the situation in West Asia continuously since the 12-day war in June 2025. We noted the indications of growing tension and cautioned the Indian community in Iran accordingly. On 5 January 2026, Indian nationals were advised by the Ministry of External Affairs to avoid non-essential travel to Iran. Those already resident there were urged to register with the embassy, exercise due caution, and monitor the embassy website and social media handles. A second advisory was issued on 14 January, reiterating this advice to avoid travel in even stronger terms. The Directorate General of Shipping, Mumbai, in parallel, issued its own advisory on 14 January for Indian seafarers, asking them to follow embassy advisories and avoid unnecessary movement ashore. Recruitment and shipping companies were asked not to deploy or send Indian seafarers to Iran. Sir, reflecting our assessment of the evolving situation, the Indian Embassy in Tehran issued another advisory on 14 February, urging Indian nationals, including students, pilgrims, business persons and tourists, to leave Iran by all available means of transport, including commercial flights. They were asked to contact the embassy for any assistance and provided with 24/7 helplines. This was again reiterated in strong terms through another advisory on 23 February. Some heeded these advisories and have left the country. However, many others have disregarded them and remain in Iran. We are also in touch with our fishermen who operate out of Iran.